Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, today I want to give Season 2 first impressions, both in terms of the Battle Pass, I want to talk a little bit about that, and in terms of the large patch that came with it, and kind of some of the controversy that's going on a little bit around some of the changes that were implemented in that patch. So, I'll kind of break this down into two parts. Let's deal with the Battle Pass and stuff first, and then we'll move on and kind of talk about the main actual patch event and some of the problems associated with that. So, Battle Pass-wise, it's very similar to Season 1. Not a great deal of change in terms of how it's been implemented, bar a few sort of minor differences. So, as before, there's basically two lines. There's the basic rewards, which everyone gets for free. As I said last time, I still feel this is worthwhile playing down, even if you have no intention of ever buying the Battle Pass, because you can still get some pretty decent rewards here. You know, by level 8, even, for only getting to level 8, you get 60 of the fangs, they call them, which in the seasonal store, it's still going to get you some semi-decent stuff. You can still start to get treaties, you can still get a rare armor schematic, where, you could just stock up on bronze coin boxes and just earn yourself a little bit of extra bronze. So it's worthwhile playing these. It's a bit of a shame to see that they actually took out this year the 7 days premium account that used to be available last time round. Bit disappointing. They should have put that back in, because that used to be, I think that was 50 glory, 50 fangs last time, and that was a really nice one for free players to be able to get some free premium time over, particularly now we're going over the holiday season. It would have been nice to see that still there. That's a little bit disappointing. But other than that, the actual rewards all feel very similar. Now, the main difference is, while it still goes up to level 200 this year, the grind isn't anywhere near as bad. So if we scroll along, you'll see, when I get there, at level 100, the final cosmetic attire hits out at level 100. Basically, that's it for rewards beyond fangs. So you can get all the, the battle pass rewards and everything once you reach level 100. Beyond that, it's all just getting large amounts of fangs, which of course you can use in the seasonal store, which is still cool, still worthwhile grinding out if you happen to get there, but it kind of means, all the main stuff is capped at level 100. That makes it a little bit easier on the grind. On top of that, they've lowered the actual nobility requirements to get there a little bit, so it's a little bit easier, and we've got 8 weeks from the start this time, not 5, and then they added a few weeks on at the end, and it sort of seemed to carry on a little bit longer. At least there's a much more longer and defined Battle Pass season this time, kind of a little bit better defined. And also, one thing that I was also quite pleased to see that they, pleased is perhaps not the right word, but they offer from the start the 100,000 glory bonus starting thing. See, last time round when they did it, all that they offered was the Battle Pass for 1,000 sovereigns. And then they didn't say anything about this, and then about 2 weeks later they announced, if you spend another 1,000 sovereigns, you can gain 100,000 glory. While I would rather this wasn't here at all, at least it's up front this time rather than kind of introduced 2 weeks later, which was a little bit sneaky. So, yeah, nice that things are a little bit up front. Generally very similar to Season 1, but just a few changes, slightly better implemented than the first time round, I think. So that's really it for the Battle Pass. It's pretty self-explanatory. You earn nobility, you level up, get rewards. Next, unit challenges. So this is the new concept that's kind of been introduced in this patch, and it changes quite a lot. It's all quite interesting as far as I'm sort of concerned. I quite like how it's been done. I think it's been done quite nicely. So, in effect, rather than unlocking units with honour, in this case, you basically unlock them by completing this series of challenges. So, for example, get 20 assists in siege or field battles, and anyway, you have to complete 6 of these on the first one, and then you unlock the second one. You have to do another 6 challenges, and then at the end you get these Namkhan archers, because you actually get the unit, and then you also get the unit kits to build them as well. And then you can see how you can basically progress along the unit tree. I like this. Nice way of doing it. It's kind of like the campaigns in World of Tanks, if any of you are familiar with them. It's a similar type of implementation. So far, the challenges don't seem unrealistically hard. Most of them seem pretty reasonable. There's a couple of bits that are concerning. One is that these only require 2, but when you get down here, for example, there are 9 stages to get the Kezigs. That's quite a lot. I don't know if those challenges down here are going to be significantly harder than these starting ones. If they are, and then there's 9 stages, and you have to get 6 per stage to progress each one, then yeah, okay, things are starting to stack up fairly difficult then to get a tier 5 unit. Hopefully it doesn't go too crazy. It is worth pointing out, despite the fact that why they've put that over here, I don't know, it's just part of the Season 2 overview, but supposedly they have announced that this campaign will not end with the season. So on the 28th of February, if you haven't got these units, that's fine. You can still complete these challenges, you know, in the middle of March, if you so wanted to. So yeah, all in all, I like this. I'll probably do an update video on this, maybe in a week's time or something, see how I've got on, maybe once the 2 have unlocked. I really want these Mace Infantry, they look so nice. Once they've unlocked, then maybe I'll do a bit of an update video and we'll come back and sort of see how the grind is in reality. So that's that. I'm not really going to talk about the Territory Wars campaigns. That's a problem for another day. Let's leave it at that. So we'll move on to the fact that some of the information that came with the patch. So a lot has changed with the patch. Almost too much, I think it's safe to say. So while there's a lot of good things about the patch in terms of quality of life changes, you know, the actual Season 2 stuff I think is quite nice. You know, I love things like the implementation of the Doctrines bag. Yes, so much more inventory space back. It's lovely. Really like things like that. The higher tier or the more veteran players are generally feeling pretty cheated by it. And let me kind of explain why. And there's really 3 factors to this. So firstly is there's been a nerf to tier 5 units. So the classic example of this is Iron Reapers. Everyone knows, you know, pre this patch how strong Iron Reapers were. And personally, I felt they were too strong and wanted a little bit of a nerf to bring them down a little bit. They've overdone it quite significantly. If you sort of look at combat footage of Iron Reapers now, or if you see them in battle, you'll see they really don't charge to anything anymore. They sort of seem to even get beaten by things like Pike Militia. They've overdone the nerf on the Iron Reapers, and it's not just the Iron Reapers, it's kind of across the board. There was an interesting video, if I've got it, I'll sort of slot it in now. My editing skills allow, of some Winged Hussars trying to charge this tier 5 unit, charging a unit of half-star serfs. These guys down here, and the serfs it didn't even get wiped out in the charge. And they've overdone the tier 5 nerf, and that's upset quite a lot of people. But let's get on to the other. But there's not only just that, you know, the one they've overdone the nerf, but there's also 2 other factors that are also upset people, which kind of in combined have made it really bad. So traditionally, Iron Reapers, when you wanted to unlock them, you had to go full down the Imperial Pike Guard line like this. You had to go fully through a whole Palace Guard line. So that meant you had to do the Palace Guards at 15,000. Then you had to do 5 nodes of armor reinforcement, 5 nodes of shield bash, 5 nodes of layered armor, 5 nodes of archers insights. You know, you had to spend 150,000 honor just to unlock these to then get this path out here. Now what they've done is they've basically bypassed this line. And you can see they've also cut out Imperial Spear Guards. So while I don't have Reapers, you can see I'd actually worked my way through the Imperial Spearguard line. I'd got the ranged weapon cross-training fully upgrades. I'd spent 40,000 honor to get these ones. So I could push up to the Reapers line, because this line used to draw out here and be a requirement to unlock Iron Reapers. But of course, by doing this, it means now Iron Reapers are much more readily available, because they're a lot easier to get to. Because where before, you know, from the start, maybe you needed 200 to 300,000 honor. Now you need a lot less. Maybe you need 100,000, something like that. And a lot of people who have spent the past 3 or 4 or 5 months grinding hard to unlock these units, you know, spent a lot of time unlocking all these, now feel sort of pretty disappointed that all of a sudden they basically can be, you know, unlocked within a month. And they kind of feel like, well, what have I just spent the last 3 months grinding for? So there was then a bit of a development. This kind of kicked off. A lot of people complained about it, and the development was that they kind of announced they'd be offering some form of honor compensation. We're not quite sure exactly how this is going to be implemented, whether it's only if you own tier 5 units or whether it's if you've gone down these nodes as well. We're not really sure in terms of honor reset tokens. But still, a lot of people feel upset that kind of what was the point in all that grinding if now it's kind of worthless. Of course, the flip side to that, and there is a very valid flip side, perhaps less so in the grind to unlock, although a little bit, but particularly sort of the lower level players who actually had to face up against those Iron Reapers, you know, are very pleased about this change, because, you know, they felt that when they turned the corner with their Spear Militia and they just get immediately wiped out by a high tier player and nothing they can do about it, they felt that that was ruining their game experience. And it's kind of created this sort of these two distinct camps now in the community, where there's sort of those who feel that the tier 5 nerf has been really extreme. They feel like all the grinding they've been doing hasn't been worth it, and that they've been nerfed so heavily that tier 5 units are no longer an effective unit in the game. And there's those who have sort of been on the receiving end of Reapers who are really pleased about it. I think that they've overdone the nerf. I think that's ultimately the problem. They've gone too hard too quickly. They've introduced, pages and pages of unit balancing in one patch, as well as introducing all these tech line changes, and as well as making the unit XP grind a lot less as well. I want the unit XP grind to be less, but I can understand how some people, have spent their time grinding and Reapers up to level 30, now feel a bit disappointed that it can now be done much easier. So I think they've done too much, too quickly, without really considering the consequences of it, and how much they've upset a lot of the veteran community. And we don't have a big enough population in this game to get away with doing that sort of thing. You've got to really keep the two camps happy, and there has to be sort of a compromise down the middle. I don't think Iron Reapers and other units, Hussars, etc., Tercios, and so on, should necessarily go back to how they were, because I think they were too powerful. But I certainly think they need a little bit of a change from where they currently are, because they are currently far too weak to really be an effective force in the game. And that, in turn has given a massive buff to things like the Imperial Spear Guards, because now they're a shield wall and they don't have so much in a way of a direct counter. Reapers used to really dominate shield walls, but now they don't, and these shield units are becoming really quite strong in the meta. So, yeah, I feel a lot has changed. I think doing so much so quickly in one patch, really balancing should be done little sort of nibbles. You should be thinking, right, Reapers are too strong, well, let's take a little bit off here and a little bit off here, not let's cut it in half. And that ultimately I think is kind of where we've gone a little bit wrong in some of the balance changes in this patch. And hopefully we're going to hear something about some changes coming forward, because I think the state of the tier 5 units isn't really that good at the moment. But as I say, it's a bit of a balance thing, because there's two camps in this community, and they want to try and walk a middle line to try and, best as possible, please, or at least satisfy both sides of the argument. And that's really all I've got for you. Without going into details about sort of everything in this patch, that's kind of the main thing that have upset a lot of people. So to summarise, Battle Pass, I think it's fine. Unit challenges, I actively like. Although, one thing I perhaps didn't mention that I like but I dislike is the fact they've got a payoff option. That you can just sort of skip these for, you can skip 2 challenges for 200 sovereigns. I'd rather they didn't introduce that. I mean, do we really need that to skip the tech tree lines? Yeah, I get why, but rather that wasn't there. But still, all in all, I do like the unit challenges. I'm not so pleased with some of the balance changes. I think there needed to be balance changes, but I think they went a little bit too far and kind of overdid it. Small steps in the balance changes, sort of thought out, planned balancing is a lot more effective. I'd rather see sort of 3 patches over the next couple of weeks that, adjusted it slowly, rather than doing one mega patch and sort of really upsetting everyone. Anyway, that's all I've got for you on today's video. Hopefully it kind of surmised the situation a little bit for you. If it did, do let me know sort of your opinion on the matter down in the comments down below. Hopefully I've not upset too many people. And of course, subscribe to the channel. We are pretty much at 5,000 subscribers. Hopefully we just about hit 5,000 subscribers once this video goes live. So thank you all guys for your continued support, and I shall see you all on the next video.